Welcome to Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai's back, baby!
You're not a kid anymore. The world isn't just gonna hand it to you.
Cobra Kai never dies!
We must fight. You have to crawl across the floor. Use your damn teeth if you have
to. Welcome back to another Cobra Kai Season 3 watch party. The trailer is here. Oh my god, this is epic. Like last time, I assume you've watched the trailer now 5-6 times, so let's dive in. Let's start with Miguel, as this is the biggest plot line in the season. We already know he wakes up. Johnny visits him in the hospital, and at some point, Carmen lets him back in. You can imagine it was Miguel who wanted Johnny? So in Season 3, Johnny is still a teacher, but instead of badass karate, he's making it his personal mission to get Miguel back in fighting shape. The beer keg sit-ups is one of the funniest things in the trailer, but this is a difficult journey. It's not easy. We do have a clear shot of Miguel's wheelchair, and also this shot where he's in a harness. It's worth noting in these Johnny is in different clothes. This will obviously be a long process. I do think these are in the same episode. Story-wise, it makes sense for Miguel's recovery to be in stages. First he's unconscious, then he wakes up, and he recovers in the hospital, then he recovers at home, then he gets back into fighting shape. I think these hospital scenes are episode 3, and the home training is episode 4. That would mean somewhere in episode 5, midway through the season, Miguel fully recovers. That also makes sense because obviously the trailer doesn't want to spoil too much, so they would keep this to the first half of the season. We also have these quick shots of Miguel at the All Valley. Now if you've seen my previous videos, you know I was originally predicting Season 3 could open at the All Valley. There's a few important points. First off, this is most certainly a dream sequence. Notice how dark it is. A real tournament wouldn't be dark like this. Now since Miguel is fighting non-characters, it could mean the original prediction was right. It would just mean Miguel dreams of someone from the All Valley board and then the referee. It's possible. The next huge reveal of the trailer is the team up of Daniel and Johnny. Holy hell, it's happening. Now if you saw this video, you would know this shot at the hospital takes place 23 minutes into the episode. We also know due to the injury that this scene in front of Johnny's apartment is after the hospital scene. Daniel coming to Johnny is the end of the first episode. This is the opening climax that kicks off the season, just the same way the end of the first episode of Season 2 had Kreese coming to Johnny, now Daniel is coming to Johnny. Johnny agrees. This kicks off episode 2. Now what are Daniel and Johnny tracking down? My theory is they are looking for Robbie. He ran off and needs to be found. You can imagine they would think that this would be important as they both have a connection to Robbie, and it's what led to this trouble.
You do realize neither one of you are cops, right?
Their quest for criminals brings them to this auto repair facility. You recall we have history of illegal activity with auto repairs.
Dude, relax. We're not gonna steal the car. Turning the auto parts like rims, stereos, shit made out of chrome and shit.
If Johnny and Daniel try to find Robbie, they would look at Robbie's criminal friends, Trey and Cruz. Upon learning they had a racket for stolen auto parts, they would trace that to the repair shop they were unloading their stolen parts. That leads them here, a criminal auto repair shop. It would seem their tracking of Robbie runs into a jam, but leads to a hell of a fight. This is going to be a great fight at episode 2. Now I don't think the Johnny-Daniel team-up will go much past episode 2. They do eventually find Robbie though. This very much is Daniel standing here in what looks like maybe a park. Unfortunately, the cops find Robbie too. Robbie's hair and clothes have changed, so definitely a little time has passed. The arrest scene is probably at the end of 2. After the team up is when Johnny switches to helping Miguel in episodes 3 through 5. As we know, Robbie is in juvenile detention in episode 3. This guy is Sean, by the way, and it's possible Robbie befriends him. Notice his hair here matches the hair in the foreground here. Robbie and Sean team up in this fight, though it looks like they lose badly. I believe Robbie will be back out of juvie somewhere around mid-season. I think his time away will mirror Miguel's recovery, and they are both out and back around episode 5 or 6. That leaves the back half of the season to explore and possibly heal their differences. Now let's get on to Hawk, Mr. Badass, my favorite. It's clear up front he still blames Johnny for everything that happened. He confronts Johnny right there at the high school, and he does it all while a guy walks past carrying a gallon of water. What? This may be the weirdest thing in the trailer. What's going on there? Why does he have that? Anyway, Hawk and Dimitri are clearly still getting into it, facing off, and Dimitri even cheap shots him on the soccer field, sweeping the leg like he's still a Cobra Kai or something. Ridiculous. Either way, it looks like their trajectory is staying the course. They grow further apart and are not healing back together. The other big Hawk moment involves Kyler. He's back and he's in Cobra Kai. You imagine if Cobra Kai got the reputation of badass bullies or something, that is what draws Kyler to it. I now think it's very likely Hawk is wailing on Kyler in this moment. We've seen new recruits have to take on the top student, which is what happened with Tori. There's no reason to think Kreese wouldn't do the same, except this time the top student is Hawk. The question is, if Hawk does wail on Kyler, would he stay in Cobra Kai? Notice he's not with them in this scene. I have a feeling Kyler will be too pussy to stick it out, and he'll quit not long after joining. Hawk's journey in season 3 will still focus on his fellow Cobras, Miguel and Dimitri. Kyler is a stepping stone or proving ground on that path. You remember this is in character for Kyler? After Miguel beat him up, he was scared of him. Yasmin even told him he's a pussy. So Kyler quitting after getting beaten by Hawk is about what you would expect. Now let's talk about Tori, everyone's favorite badass girl. Except our first shot of her doesn't seem very badass at all. She's counting cash and it's not a lot. A couple of 5s, a 10, some singles, maybe like $25? The question is why? Why is Tori counting her cash? I think the most likely reason is to pay for her Cobra Kai lessons. Way long ago, when I explained Tori's last name was Nichols, I pointed out Nichols could also be a nickname as she has to work a job to afford her lessons. People were wondering, why isn't Tori in class? Perhaps the reason is she runs out of money and can't afford it. You can imagine when Johnny was teaching, she was able to skate by without paying. He didn't keep good books and didn't realize it, but now that Kreese is sensei, she has to pay up, except she can't. Now we do know by episode 8 she can pay again, but maybe she had to save up for a long time. Is this also why she goes to Miyagi-Do? This is definitely one of the more powerful moments in the trailer. While I don't know if it's true, I get the feeling this is the first time Tori and Sam see each other since the school fight. Definitely the look on both their faces indicates that. I think we're seeing it in reverse. Tori walks up at first, then she's standing there. Notice how Sam is lowering her hands. I definitely think Sam was scared at first and thought Tori was coming to fight. This could be somewhere mid-season, perhaps when Daniel is in Okinawa. Tori is looking for a place to train because she can't afford Cobra Kai. I don't know how it'll go. You can't see these two getting along very well or at all. Either way, this is a scene we all knew was going to happen at some point, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. Plus, I don't know what the costume designer was thinking, but Tori is wearing a lot of yellow this season. Here, this shirt around her waist, and also here. And one final point, I assume this is where Tori lives, but where is that? If you look at the light fixture, it's almost identical to the one in Miguel's apartment. Does she live in the same complex? I honestly don't think so. I think it's more likely they repurposed one of the apartments for this scene. She seems to be wearing the same shirt as in this picture that Sholo posted. This is Johnny's apartment, so they must have been shooting around there. But this shot is clearly not Johnny's apartment, so let's just consider that a little Easter egg. Now as for Sam, I feel like in the trailer, she's doing the most. That is to say, she's doing something different in every shot of her. In the first shot, she's coming to school, going through security. You get the impression maybe this is her first day back after the fight. She looks nervous, unsure. Also note, the dress she's wearing is what she was wearing in the previous trailer here. So obviously after looking at her scars, she did choose to cover them up and wear the top. I suspect she'll be dressed like that for much of season 3. Next, she's flipping some guy, I don't know where. These are obviously fake sets or displays. Some people have said they're sets for a play and Sam is in a play. The problem is, these are not stage lights. It doesn't look like the school auditorium at all. Plus, Plus, these would be ridiculous sets, even for a high school play. I like the idea of this being at golf and stuff somehow. Some sort of maze or funhouse or something. Now, who is in this encounter? It's worth noting the red light seems to match the light here. They could be at the same place. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what was on this doorway, so maybe it all goes together. You wonder if after flipping this guy, Sam charges him to finish him off, to show no mercy as it were. But then she catches herself and stops, wondering what she's become. It looks like it. Perhaps she's losing control of herself in her fighting. Now this moment of Sam saying she thought they were the good guys is very interesting. There are many people who would not consider Sam to be one of the good guys. Honestly, I don't know where people get that idea. Anyway, it sure looks like the outfit she's wearing here is the same as she was wearing at school, so it's probably later in the day. So these 3 shots are all the same day in the same episode, and I think that's episode 1. I suspect Sam and Daniel's talk here, especially where Daniel is telling her you can't run from your problems, is what actually prompts Daniel to visit Johnny here and offer to team up. In fact, when she says,
I thought we were the good guys.
I strongly suspect she's talking about Robbie. Now the trailer edits it to show Dimitri acting the asshole, but that's not the topic of the conversation. It's Robbie and what Robbie did. That prompts Daniel to change clothes and find Johnny. Then Samantha does, well, whatever Sam does.
Robbie, what did you do?
The next shot is Sam and Daniel practice sparring with bow staffs. They can do this because Mr. Miyagi taught Daniel how to fight with weapons. So for the 10 million people who told me the great secret of Mr. Miyagi was he never taught Daniel weapon fighting, please take note of this scene. Otherwise, Sam swings a shot and Daniel blocks it and Sam smiles. Like really, really smiles. But what the hell? No, seriously, why is she so happy here? She swung and he blocked. That's not special. Great job, sweetie. You finally threw one that was close enough I had to easily block it this time. I know, I'm so happy. This is ridiculous. This is nothing to be happy about. Wipe that smile off your face, girl. The only thing you can be happy about is they cleaned up all Robbie's stuff out of the home dojo. She doesn't like Robbie anymore, and now she's happy about it. I guess that's what it is. Amanda slaps Kreese. Ouch. I do wonder what brought her here. You would think it'd have something to do with her daughter and maybe Tori, but we really don't know. Could involve Daniel or even Anthony. Now as for Daniel, obviously he works with Johnny to find Robbie. He mentors Sam. I think this shot of Daniel coming into Cobra Kai is important. I love the look of the dojo and the look of Kreese. Now Kreese's gi is not the same as it is here, so it doesn't seem to be the same sequence. Either way, Johnny or Daniel get in a fight with Kreese. Unless he beats Daniel, changes clothes, then Johnny comes after him. I do want to point out again, the blood in his face in this shot is dry. It's like some time has passed since he was in a fight. Otherwise, most importantly, Daniel goes to Okinawa. Now I've made several videos on the Okinawa material already. I even have a great video on this shot. Seriously, you should check that out. You may be surprised. Now we know he meets up with Kumiko. We have this shot from the trailer. There's also this picture from Entertainment Weekly. We know this is from episode 5. It looks like the Okinawa trip will be primarily episodes 4 and 5, because we know he's back by episode 6 here. Now the appearance of Chosen is a huge moment. I want to first compare this stare down to this. I've long felt like Sam and Tori's fight had echoes of Daniel and Chosen. It was a real fight, not a tournament. This first encounter for both is very similar. You almost wonder if it happens in the same episode. We see more of this awesome rematch between Daniel and Chosen. Except, is it the same fight? Call me crazy, but the room doesn't look the same. The setup anyway. I have a feeling there may be more than one sparring match between Daniel and Chosen. First off, if you watched this video, you would know that in this shot, there's a bow staff on the edge of the mat in front of the bench, except the bow isn't in the shot. Now, does that mean it was picked up and used? Possibly, but I feel like the spacing is different. This looks really, really close to the wall. It even casts a shadow on the wall, but here it definitely has some space. Now, it's a different camera angle and could have been shot at different times, but that is strange. I think it's possible Daniel and Chosen have multiple sparring matches. Perhaps Chosen wins the first few, and as Daniel finds his balance in Mr. Miyagi's secret, he comes into his own and beats Chosen in the final sparring match. The final shot is Johnny looking sharp at Christmas time. I may have a video on that later. Be sure to subscribe, you won't want to miss it. A final note, the main music you heard was Auld Lang Syne. It's from a Scottish poem and is often played at New Year's. The first line is, "Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind?" Considering the old acquaintances in this trailer, it's a very fitting. Also, the release isn't listed as January 8th anymore. Will it drop earlier? Perhaps New Year's Day? The music would be a clue. Stay tuned for more info. Here's a bunch of other Season 3 videos. You're going to want to watch them all. There's a lot to keep you busy until the release date. Have a great day, and I'll see you at the next watch party.